Like this is what I'm talking about.
Boss?
Oh my, I was like, no. I said the administration has their grant writer. Wilmington PD has a grant writer. We can get a grant writer. We don't have to ask the administration. I am tired of us thinking we have to go to the administration. There's there times we need to collaborate and work with them, yes, but we don't have to go through them for everything. Like this council waits for the administration's approval.
Wow. Good evening, this is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
Shané Darby.
And welcome to The Source. You know, as we have watched carefully and we've heard from various people in the community, one of the things that I'm finding that is ringing real true, and that is we have no media coverage in the state of Delaware that talks about the events, the happenings, the crimes that happens in our community. While we don't want any crime in our community, my problem is how come no one is reporting when there is crime so that we'll know where dangers are. This week, there were 3 shootings. 1 person died. Not one media outlet in Delaware covered it. Facebook covered it, CBS covered it, and that was it. How could this be so?
Yeah, that is a good question. I know the first shooting in which the individual ended up passing away was a 23-year-old man. It was actually the first homicide in the whole state. And that happened over the west side, over Hilltop area. But only like a few minutes later, not even a full hour later, you saw 2 young kids shot inside their house. So we definitely have a problem, right? We're not starting off the year in any good manner. But I am disappointed not to see this covered by more outlets.
No, any outlets in Delaware. Delaware Online did not cover it. WDEL, which has become, they were a little bit better, they didn't cover it. How does a person know that the person next door to you just was shot? You know that this new ring system, I mean, where you at your house, they got a whole community on that thing. So if something happens, they ask, do you know why the ambulance is in the neighborhood? How come when it comes down to poor people that we tend not to care whether or not they are safe or they know what's happening in their community? That's where my argument is today. Sorry.
You have a lot of hope in us. And
You're
administration, city council, not this administration, like at all. You can expect that they're going to make sure that this information is being given to the community in a right way and in an accurate and timely manner. Like, it's just not going to happen under this administration. Like, it's just not. And but what we can do is try to hope that the next administration will. So we create a plan or have the administration pressure them to make a plan to do the right thing. And then we have a media that's really not Delaware based. Most of the Delaware media is outside people who even work for them, right? So they're not connected to the community. So you have this disconnect from the community happening in the media world. And then you have an administration who is not interested in reporting this. This will impact. They want to get people into Riverfront 2.0 that they're about to build. Riverfront 1.0.
Not even about to build. They already building it.
Well, they already, yeah, technically. But, yeah, that's where we are.
But you said under this administration, when Dennis was in office, this was Murder Town, USA.
Yeah, but not under Mike Przicki. He turned this thing around. The gun violence has gone down. Violence is at the all-time low. We don't have those issues anymore. He came in and he got our city, he got y'all black and brown people together, okay?
You mean the 6 years that surpassed the year that under Dennis was called Murder Town USA because of our high numbers. 6 of those years under Mike Przicki, well past those numbers of both shootings and homicides.
Yep.
but it's all good. We're one of the
We're
best places in the
fine.
world.
We're good.
But do you know? Do you think that maybe there's a strategic plan to ensure that when certain people serve as mayor, we cover up, but when other people serve, we expose just so that nobody won't vote in that style again?
Yeah, of course. And I think it has a lot, like, I think a lot of things have to do with, like, identity, right? A black man, of course, they're going to expose him, right? And then blame him for it. But then when a white man get in office, he comes and saves us. And we listen to everything he says. He's actually a white Republican at that, who come and save this democratic black city, and violence went down when it's not true. It's all how you draw a narrative and the perspective that you're putting out. And what he's putting out is not true at all. Like, he's not doing a great job in regards to violence management in our city. So he just
maybe not be doing a great job as it relates to the management, but certainly of managing the media.
Yeah, managing the media too, and not managing the media. Because as an administration, why wouldn't you want to partner with local media companies to say, hey, we want to do this, or we have WITM, we have our own media we have our own media station, like, right in our government, that we can utilize in a very different way to communicate information to people, but we're not doing that.
As you were sharing, this 23-year-old brother was killed on the 3000 block of North Scott Street. And for those of you who don't know, it did occur on Monday in the afternoon. It wasn't a late night situation or early in the morning. It was right in the mid of the day. And then just around the corner, not too far from there, then you have two children in their own home shot. That has to be covered. Not so much because we want to expose the wrongdoings in the black community or the poor community, but really because people should feel safe. And if they feel that something is not safe or area is not safe, they should be able to avoid those areas. The media is very important to any city. And I think at some point we're going to have to figure out what are we going to do as a state when it comes down to this whole media issue, covering what they want to cover.
I say that it's time for us to create a black-run media outlet that is holistic, right? So not just TV, but include television, radio, and print media as well too. Give opportunities to young, up-and-coming journalists, especially partner with DSU, partner with some of the HBCUs in the area as well too, to bring them in, bring in some editors and start it. And it would also take us investing in it as well too.
Well, I'm always open to investment, but that's something that maybe we need to put on the table, because you got a great college president down at Delaware State and they have a great media department. You have other people from different, whether it be Wilmington University, who may be able to lend to the professionalism to this. But are there any, like in Philadelphia used to have the Tribune. I don't know what they have there now, but are there any other outlets where we can model behind or ask to partner with? Because getting something like this started becomes very, very difficult when you don't have some kind of template or a person who's already doing it. Is there anything out there?
I'm sure there's like the Sun up in Philly that is a black-run paper. Okay. A lot of their papers you see in the barbershops down here. I'm sure we can reach out and talk with them about this. And there's probably other outlets out there that we're, just not top of the mind, that we can reach out and ask for guidance on how they got started, how things go, and how to move forward with things as well.
Yeah, we're going to see how it does. But let me just tell you what did hit the media. What was very big in the media of Delaware. Delaware Online reported how Wilmington's mayoral candidates are faring in the raising of funds. That was interesting. That's more important than your safety. But it's interesting. I didn't even know that the governor was running for mayor. But I guess you had reported that he had did an exploratory research. And so he raised $100,000 in 1 month, huh?
Yeah, $111,000 he raised at the end of the year for his exploratory run for mayor of the city of Wilmington. Again, it's not a shocking number, right? You're a former congressman, former lieutenant governor, congressman, and you're a sitting governor. You should be able to raise funds like that. So that is not anything too outstanding. On the other side, Velda Jones Potter, raised $24,000 and loaned herself another $27,000, leaving her cash on hand around $27,000 as well too. So this race is heating up now. Money does matter, but it's not the end all be all, right? So it's going to be, again, everyone should be following this race very closely.
Yeah, how do they do the polls in Delaware? Like I saw a poll where Matt Myers was a little bit behind the current lieutenant governor. Mm-hmm. How do they do their polls in here? So
you can commission a poll. Okay. A good statewide poll costs anywhere from about $30,000 to $37,000. Okay. And one thing I don't like about that is whoever is usually commissioning the poll is usually in their favor. Okay. You can target the demographic you want. You can target the questions. The questions that you're asking can make it spew towards one person or another. I like independent polls better. Also, I don't believe fully in polls, right? Because, it could just be what's going on in the time. It may not reflect actual election day. We saw that in 2016. Yeah. So again, that poll that you're referring to was done by a PAC that is pro-Bethany. Okay. So again, everything's up in the air, and it excluded another serious candidate who is in the race as well too.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. What's your poll saying? You winning?
For my district?
Yeah.
That's what everybody's saying. I'm gonna be humble though.
You'll be humble though?
Yeah, I think I got it, but you never know.
I know you didn't learn that trick from that Kappa friend.
Oh, snap.
No, she's going to be humble. She's going to be humble. Okay, we go about that. Yeah. Well, again, we're going to end this segment with just me reiterating the point that I want to reiterate, and that is we need a media outlet that will be fair, will be in our community, and share what has happened, the good and the bad. Because in order for people to feel safe, they have to know that their streets are safe, and they have to know where the dangers are. And when we don't know where they are, we find ourselves in harm's way. Is there anything else from this segment you all have for today?
Nothing else I have.
No, nothing else.
All right, well, we're going to come right back in just a moment.
Tune in at 8 a.m. every Sunday for our worship services. Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube and Facebook Live by typing Zion Fair Baptist Church. We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
I am Tony Prado, Communications Specialist for the Blood Bank of Delmarva. We are charged with keeping all 19 hospitals in the Delmarva Peninsula stocked with the blood products they need for various hospital patients. The only way we can help those folks is by convincing people to donate blood. It's something that we cannot produce synthetically in the lab. We need people to donate their time and their blood in order to make that happen, whether you're giving whole blood, double red cells, or platelets. And we'll take those products, we'll test them, make sure that they're safe, and then distribute those to the hospitals as needed, including in hospital emergencies, trauma events that occur in the flash of a minute. And we ask you to help us. Go to delmarvablood.org or call 1-888-8-BLOOD-8 to schedule your appointment. We're celebrating National Blood Donor Month to raise awareness. And as I said previously, we are asking people to donate once per season, whole blood, or you can do double red cells twice a year, or you can do platelets every 2 weeks. Whatever fits your schedule, it's a great way to get back to your community. Sit back and relax and donate some blood. And if you're like me, you don't have time to coach Little League or volunteer at the soup kitchen, donating blood is a legitimate way to give back to your community. You're gonna be saving lives and you're gonna feel good about it. I promise you. Thank you for your time.
And we're back. Well, at this time, we're going to hear what's going on with the Shané scoop.
Yeah, so just to give you guys a vote of no confidence. So we had the vote and a resolution was put up, a vote of no confidence specifically for the incident that happened right after we were able to maintain residency for the city of Wilmington. Mayor Mike Przicki, very in a public statement, disrespected the community and calling them and their actions a mob rule, which is a very coded word for other things he probably don't want to say publicly. So he has not apologized. He has not said any follow-up about what he said about his own constituents and residents here in the city of Wilmington. So we did a vote. I think it was only myself and President Congo who voted yes for the resolution. Everyone else was a no. They did not believe that there should be a vote of no confidence for that. But a lot of them would say, hey, I don't support what he did, but I don't support the resolution. So we don't have a council that's really ready to stand up, be courageous, and hold the mayor accountable. Like, it's just not going to happen.
He wasn't going to get fired if he voted no confidence, was he?
Is he going to fire us?
Would he have gotten fired if they voted no confidence?
No, it was just a statement.
So if you don't agree with the statement that he made, why not vote no confidence?
Yeah, no, they start talking about like, oh, he's really great at this. Like, okay, what does that have to do with this piece of legislation?
It's like the person who may have just robbed your house, but they used to sing on the choir a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Or even last Sunday, he was on the choir singing. So you excuse them from breaking into your house because they sang on the choir.
Yeah, it's okay. He broke in. You know, he's on the
choir, the praise team. Yeah,
the praise team. Yeah. He gives out turkeys every Thanksgiving. He's a good guy.
You know, we've been very facetious. Today has been a facetious day for us because it's unbelievable some of the things that we are experiencing here in the city, and the hidden hand that continues to drive a whole lot that happens in the city is just unbelievable. So I had to feel that's how I was.
And another argument that was stated was that, so right after Mike Przicki came out with his statement about the community, President Congo responded. Because he actually was coming for President Congo a lot in that statement. Yeah. But President Congo did respond, and some of the council people was like, that was enough. But one, that didn't allow for community participation to happen. And two, even President Congo said that wasn't enough because that did not sway the mayor to even apologize or to change his action. So, like, basically he was saying, don't use what I did to try to excuse or not support what this legislation is today. So you had legislators just making excuses, really, to why they didn't want to support it. And it really has a lot to tie it in to do with me, too. A lot of them just don't like me. So that's just what it is with the vote of no confidence. So now we're just going to move forward. We're going to continue to do some other legislation that's coming up to mobilize people and get them to come out.
They gave you one piece of legislation. They don't give you two in 1 year. You may get too much power.
Okay, well, no, we got some big things coming up, man. I'm going to talk about a few of them. Right. So one thing I do want to hit on, I know the budget is coming up. Okay. So the budget schedule, I thought it was posted online. It says fiscal year 2024 City Council budget hearing schedule, but all of them say 2023. So I'm going to have them check on this because I don't think this is right. But if you go to Wilmington City Council... That's
why you have to hire people who don't live in the city. Because if the person who updated that website didn't live in the city, it would be updated right.
It might have.
So you have all those people coming talking about we gotta live here. It's somebody who probably live in the city that didn't update.
Yeah, that is funny. But yeah, so if you go to City Council, go to Budget Review, you'll have the schedule. Come out, participate, join. I know 4:30 is kind of early for people, which I think, we got to find a better time and way to do council business like overall. So I'm really big on community participation. 4:30 is a hard time, but it is also a virtual option. So while you're driving home from work or while you at the end of your workday, you could tune in, listen. There is public comment, I believe, for budget hearings. I can't remember. There are public comments for budget hearing. So see what works and where you want to come in, because this is going to be a big year. We know we talked about EMS services. It's going to impact the fire department budget, fees and fines. We saw the $25 for 2 weeks. And then it goes up. So we're going to see what that's going to impact our budget. And then City Council right now, we're having our behind the scene meetings, putting up ideas on like what we want to see in the budget. So we'll roll out with what we all agreed on, because I might ask for something, but I don't have enough support.
Okay.
So then we only put out the stuff that has the support to be able to be a part of the budget. But the budget is so key and important, and I think participation is important. So this year I am I'm launching a pilot program of participatory budgeting, specifically just for the 2nd District. So we get discretionary funds from the budget.
Right.
Beforehand it was $10,000, but last year it went up to $22,000. So we get $22,000, and they're continuing that on. I thought that was a one-time thing, so I kept saying we only get $10,000. Now we get $22,000 per person. So what? I'm going to. No, I think it's more than that. I forgot the amount. It's
the one time was the $100,000 that y'all got from the ARPA funds.
Yeah, that was that. But whatever the number is going to that number now.
Okay.
So it's more than 10,000.
Okay.
Whatever it is more than 10,000 now that we're all asking for in the budget for our budget hearing. So I'm going to take a large chunk of that and have 2nd District residents vote on what project they want done to happen in the 2nd District.
Excellent.
So a lot of other cities have participatory budget where it's in the whole budget, right? Not just 2nd District, right? But I'm hoping to show people that this can work and it's possible and it can be done. But I'm going to have people submit ideas. So the website should be up soon, a webpage where people can then submit ideas, but it has to be within the 2nd District, and the ideas have to come from 2nd District residents. Good. So they can submit ideas, and then we can figure out where we're going to do with a large chunk of my funds that I get out of the budget to be able to make some real big impactful changes. Because beforehand I was getting $10,000. That's not a lot. Right. So I was like, $500 for a barbecue, $500 for this block party, $200 here. Like, it really wasn't that impactful. And then a certain percentage of it had to be for scholarships for school. Right. What real impact can I really make? Right. So I was like, this year, when July 1 come, I want to be like, all right, there's one project my money is going to and be done. This is a campaign year. Also, like, trying to just make sure that I still can effectively be a city council while I'm running for office. Good. This is my first time experiencing this. I'm like, this is going to be a crazy year. So that's the participatory budget stuff in the budget process. But another few things to look out for that's going to be talked about in the budget is our water. So we know we have water increases, they told us last year, that's going to happen every year.
Yeah, no voting on that, because this is time to vote. So there'll be no voting on that by City Council.
Right, yeah, so there would be a water increase every year, right? Of
5%, right?
Of 5%, yep. So there would be an increase every year. I'm also going to make sure that I bring back up my legislation around water, which both legislations ask for two things. One is stopping water shutoffs for the elderly, for people who are disabled, and people who have children under the age of 5, right? So the water shutoffs is not saying we're going to stop asking people to pay their bills, but if they get to the point where they can't pay, we're not going to shut off their water. We're going to provide them with resources to try to get them to stay in the home and not completely shut off. Other cities and states do this already. When I lived in Philadelphia, I think it was my electric or something else. It was another utility, but I was behind. I couldn't pay it. So what they did was, they was like, we can't shut it off because you have children under the age of 5 in your house. So they couldn't shut it off, but they provided me with resources and kind of work with me to get me back on track. Like, that's the type of work we need to be doing, because once you cut off someone's water, like, the house becomes inhabitable after a certain period of time, like really quick. So then they have nowhere to go. We know that we just had displacement at Herring Manor in the city of Wilmington, where a whole block of apartments, and I think Coby might be talking about that, I don't know. But Herring Manor is in the 1st district, right across the street. The 3rd district, the 3rd district across in Xanthi Oliver's is across from me on Market Street. A whole home apartment complex of people have been displaced.
Where the vast majority are seniors. Again, this policy passed at the beginning of this city council session. It was passed what many of us called the blight bill. It was a little modified to give them more power to do stuff like this. But what happened here is Herring Manor, which is majority seniors, right? There's some young people in there, but majority seniors. They came home to notices that their house, their apartment, their home was being condemned, and it didn't go out until late in the day. right? So it was almost after all the state agencies closed, all the county agencies closed, the city offices were closing as well too. So you get home 4:30, you get a notice that it's just freshly put on your door, and now you're told you have to leave by 9 p.m. that night.
Yep.
And was the water cut off or something?
There was
no, it was
water.
HVAC.
It
was
no
more
heat.
heating system than anything else. So like Classy, they have been trying to get in contact with the people, and they're hearing things like they're supposed to put you up in a hotel. Like they're supposed to pay for you to stay. They're asking people to pay for it or pay half of it. I just paid rent, bro. Yeah. I just paid you rent. And now you asking me to pay to go somewhere else?
What does this sound like? North Adams Street,
Yes.
all over.
I was going to say, is this a private owned facility?
It's owned by a church.
Union Baptist.
Yes.
That used to be my church.
Oh, I'm not going against any churches, but I don't care who owns it.
So
that's where I am right now.
And this isn't anything new, right? So there are other property that they own. Kings Plaza had multiple issues in 2023 with the water being shut off by the city, with the city trying to condemn that place as well too, without any notice as well. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that the city shouldn't do their job and condemn places that are inhabitable.
We have a plan.
But you have to have a plan.
We don't have a plan.
They keep doing this. Work with the county. See if there's rooms available at the Hope Center. If not, you have all these hotels around here that you keep building. Mm-hmm. Look, y'all, Coin got state funds. How about we put them up in a Coin?
Yeah.
But in order to renew a license, it should be under the code that you have to have the plan.
Well, no, not just that, right? Here's the thing. When you renew your license, there should be inspections done then, right?
Well, that's
true.
But
they keep giving these landlords, and I'm not just talking about the church, I'm talking about across the city.
Yeah.
They keep giving these landlords like AJ Cormy, who I definitely do not like. AJ B. Cormy, who is a slumlord, right? He's North Adams Street. They keep giving him licenses, even though he's not even paying his fines for North Adams Street. They just renewed his licenses for about 7 other properties the other day.
Oh yep, and all his properties are a hot mess. We've been in all of them with the union knocking doors. So all of them are a hot mess. It's not like he keeps some of them.
See what they would do in Philadelphia? They would go check and see who he's giving money to. I mean,
I know who he's giving money to. His name is Michael Pazicki.
Yeah, so it's a lot going on when we talk about like just housing, period. And you see in the city where all these developments of new high-rise apartments, they tore down like one of the largest parking areas in our city. What was that, on Orange? On
Orange, and giving them a nice 295-unit building in which they're only going to have to pay for licenses for 100 of those units because, you know, we were changing the parking ticket and we were going to lose so much money, so we had to change all the fines and fees, but somehow everything else increased. But if you build over 100 units now, you don't have to pay any more money.
Yep. So they're giving them breaks to do that. But then also in that, I think it's really important. The city council has the power here. I'm going to tell you what we could do. We could put a moratorium on building and say, we're going to talk about affordable housing in the city of Wilmington. And we're going to come up with the plan. So my thing is, right now there's legislation being worked on for inclusionary housing, which will then say that if anything is being built, a certain percentage of it has to be affordable. Not even just low income, but affordable, right? Which is different level incomes, affordability. So making it more affordable houses as we're building these high-end apartments, we have to include that in the plan. And also having a housing trust. So the county has a housing trust where developers, a part of what they're doing, their funds go into this housing trust, and that housing trust then develops more affordable housing for the city, right? So those are two things that we can do, and those are two pieces of legislation that have been worked on over the last almost year now. But I think it's like time now to say, yo, we need to put a stop. But if I put in a legislation for a moratorium stop for 90 days on development, I don't think I'm gonna have the votes.
but don't not do it.
No. You know I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Well, and then we need to expose the people who just want to play these games.
You know I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do it because it's a crisis at this point.
Yeah.
People are struggling out here. I am like, being a homeowner is a struggle, but I'll take that any day versus being a renter out here. It is terrible.
But see, this is what I want to say to you two, because y'all both are, and I know you're going to say, not me, are part of the Democratic Party. I am a Democrat by registration. And this is why people are not feeling Biden. I get that we're in a better economy. I get that the unemployment is low, but they are at the kitchen table issues is still very, very hurtful for the poor and those who are struggling.
But let me stop you there. This ain't got nothing to do with Biden. This happens on the local level.
Right.
So you have to pay attention more than just who is president.
Right.
You have to pay attention to who's your governor, who's your state
has
rep.
to do that. That's his boy in that office.
Well, I'm
we
saying
to
us
Wilmington,
as people, we need to pay attention because I saw people out there, Biden Harris, but then didn't vote in their city council races or didn't vote in their mayor election.
Okay, I see
and
you going.
There's a huge drop off, right?
Yeah.
Thousands of people who voted for president in 2020 in the city of Wilmington didn't even make it to pass the county exec line. Right? And the mayor is under that.
Yeah.
They just stopped voting. They hit that submit button once they hit the president or once they hit the U.S. senator or congresswoman line, and then they hit that submit. I'm not saying don't do that. Please do that. But vote all the way down the ticket.
Yeah.
Because that's where it truly matters. The city council has more to do with what is going on right now. And it's crazy because some of them don't even understand the power that the council really has. Unless, Pizicki said, hey, now you have the power to do something. They don't realize the power they have. They're supposed to be their own entity.
Right.
Checks and balances.
And it's so funny. I had one of my budget requests is for a grant writer for city council to have our own so that we can have someone like, there's a whole bunch of opioid money right now for grants. And I know Councilmember Xanthia Oliver has been trying to lead that way in her district. Why don't we have a grant writer helping us to get funds to do that, right? So I put in a request, and literally one of the council people said, we got to talk to the administration. I said, no, we don't. Like this is what I'm talking about.
Boss.
Oh my, I was like, no. I said, the administration has their grant writer. Wilmington PD has a grant writer. We can get a grant writer. We don't have to ask the administration. I am tired of us thinking we have to go to the administration. There are times we need to collaborate and work with them, yes, but we don't have to go through them for everything. Like this council waits for the administration's approval.
Wow. Go ahead. You go ahead and finish up.
Yeah.
You got some good topics today.
Yeah. So that was really like budget stuff, participatory budget. And I know my last thing is in March at the committee meeting for Public Works, we're going to talk about our skilled worker legislation. So this is, I had talked about it a few times, but really talking about how do we locally hire? How do we hire people locally? How do we really look at how much we're paying them, how they're being trained, when they get subsidies from the city? Yeah. A lot of times when the development is happening in our city, it's not people who are from here or people who look like us. Right. And we have to do that.
Hold up. Let's break it down a little bit more.
I'm listening.
It's our taxpayer dollars going to these projects, right?
Yep, our taxpayer dollars.
So it's coming out of our pocket. We live here in the city of Wilmington, even though they didn't want some of the employees to live here. Yeah. We live here in the city of Wilmington. Right. We pay for this project.
Okay.
But the money that is going to the people who are working on these projects don't live here, which means that's not coming back into our economy, which means we're losing money. Correct?
Correct.
As a city.
Yes.
But then we're going to raise taxes on the people who live here to make up for that difference that we lost.
Yes.
So this is a fiscally sound and conservative piece of legislation to keep us in good standing as a city, right?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Who would vote no against this?
No comment.
We know who gonna vote no. So we already know. So that's gonna be coming down the pipe. So we're organizing now around it, trying to get people to come out, mobilize around this very issue of keep it local. And when we keep it local, pay us right and make sure we get the training that we need so we can do it right? And that saves money by doing it right. Yeah. So that is what's coming up like soon as I think about and trying to organize like when legislations are going to happen because the budget hearing starts in April. So it's like we only got a short period of time to do like committee meetings and council meetings because then there's no committee meetings until May. Yeah. So trying to like get the legislations out there, but doing it in the right way. Gotcha. So.
Yeah. Well, that's good stuff, and it's interesting that we always don't have enough time on these shows. But thank you for your report today, and we'll be right back.
Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube every Sunday by typing E Zion Fair Baptist Church.
Oh my God, help me today. Which means every storm is a school. Every trial is a teacher. Every experience is an education. And every difficulty is development.
We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
New guests, new conversations. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. So grab your cup of coffee and tune in with Dr. Curry for weekly episodes of Coffee with Curry.
Until the next time we get together, may the Lord God bless you real good.
Hello, I'm Marcus Henry, and I'm running for Newcastle County Executive. I spent over 20 years working in state and local government trying to bring the good programs and services you deserve here in Newcastle County. Please support my campaign. Please look us up at marcushenrybe.com for further information. I look forward to meeting you all over the next year, and I look forward to your support. Thank you.
And we're back. All right, Coby, what's going on with Coby Corner of the World?
Yeah, so since the last time we've been on the show, there's been two a caucus and a primary that's taking place on the Republican side. So in the Iowa caucus, Donald Trump won overwhelmingly, which it led to Ron DeSantis dropping out. And then we also had earlier this week, we had the New Hampshire primary, right, in which Donald Trump won, but he only won by 9 points. Nikki Haley, who invested a lot of money into the New Hampshire primary, kept it a very close race, even though all her former opponents who dropped out, minus Chris Christie and Governor Hatchin from Arkansas, endorsed Donald Trump and was campaigning for him. She gets 9 delegates from that primary. Donald Trump gets 12. And now all focus goes to South Carolina. But and right before we came on air, we were talking about Ron DeSantis. First off, the little man who's a white supremacist, who is doing everything in his power to erase black people in Florida and minorities in Florida overall. The embarrassment to this country has dropped out, right? I'm glad to see him go. Yeah. I'm glad that he is term limited and will no longer be governor after this. I hope his career is over. And he will be remembered in history as someone who perpetuated white supremacy into policy.
And I think he's okay with that.
He's okay with it, yeah. But again, what they have done in Florida right now is horrible. And what they're still trying to do, he dropped out the race, and the first thing he did once he got back to Florida was work with one of his closest allies in the state Senate to pit up a bill, right? So what I just said, to perpetuate white supremacy, to pit up a bill that you can now file a civil lawsuit and file criminal charges for someone calling you a racist.
Interesting. But now it's down to Trump and Haley.
Haley, yeah.
And I don't think Haley is going to win.
I don't either.
I don't think she's Indian American. Yeah. And I don't think the Republican Party is ready for a woman, right? And I think I don't think they're going to have a woman, at all. I think the same racism that's in the Republican Party that she ignores is the same reason why she's not going to be able to be on the ticket.
She said she doesn't see racism.
But what I'm saying is the same thing she ignores is going to be the same reason why she is not going to be the winning nomination, like at all. Like she is not going to be the winning nomination.
You just said Tim Scott. Yeah. So I'll say this: Nikki Haley pit Tim Scott in the Senate.
Yes, she did.
When everyone told her not to pit a black man in that Senate seat, when Jim Demento stepped down from that seat, she pit him in that seat.
Yes, she did.
Right? And he has the nerve to go out and endorse Donald Trump and give one of the biggest Uncle Tom speeches that I've ever seen. You know, it reminded me of Django, LL Cool J, not LL Cool J, Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django, and also it reminded me of Ben Carson and endorsing Trump in 2016. The way he turned his back on her is very sad. But then you also look at Nancy Mace, who ran against a Trump-endorsed candidate when she ran for the Senate Congressional District 1 down there. And Nikki Haley backed her, campaigned for her, helped her fundraise, and helped her win her congressional seat. Right. She has now endorsed Donald Trump. Yeah.
They don't believe women in leadership anyway. So, like, it's just not going to happen. But then what gets it even worse is that Trump is going to be the nominee, and I am not a Joe Biden supporter either. So then what makes it worse is that people don't want to vote for Joe Biden. I'm keeping it 100 with you.
But for those of you who are sitting and saying, I'm with Shané on this one, I'm with her. Let me say this to you.
He's going to win.
At some point, you have to recognize that Trump can win. I would rather vote with holding my nose for Joe Biden than to allow Trump to walk in. His supporters are going to vote. You hear what I tell you? That 33% is going to vote. Our voters going to split and be marked. And with this war going on, there are people protesting. I'm just afraid.
He is not favored right now. Joe Biden.
But the problem is you're not paying attention to the alternative. And you talk about your little government military check and other things. You gonna be saying, Joe, come back.
No. Trump gave me a raise when he was in office. Joe Biden didn't. He actually reduced it. So let's talk about that.
So again, I'm gonna say it again. It's not all about president.
Yeah.
It's also about who else you're voting on.
No, I agree. Yeah.
And whether or not you want to skip a line, please go to the ballot booth and pay attention to every ballot line.
Yeah.
And make a decision based on every ballot line. Don't just blanket decide on anything. I agree. You did get a raise, right? Those same Republicans who voted for your raise voted to take some of that money away. Yeah. Now, for the simple fact, it's a different party in the office. All they play games. They making money. They are making money in D.C. There's a ton of insider trading on both parties going on in D.C. They're making millions. But they play political chess with everyday people's lives.
Yes.
Well,
we're now about to see another shutdown where military people are going to be affected, government workers are going to be affected. Now, not all government, because some of them will get furloughed and everything, so they won't have to show up to work. But what's your rank again, Sergeant?
Yeah.
Sergeant Darby. If you have to get called in, but yet there's no money to pay you, would you still have to show up?
I would have to.
You're expected to show up.
I have to.
Because you raised your hand.
Because I took the oath.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, they're willing to say, hey, they won't get paid. They still have to show up to work. But Congress, guess what?
They show up. They get paid.
No, they don't have to show up.
Yeah, they gonna get paid.
But they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
They get a whole month off. Still get paid with a government shutdown.
Yeah.
So again, it's playing political chess. And this is why I think it's so important to pay attention, because now you're seeing a lot of the Republicans fall in line behind Trump. A lot of them waited for that primary. I will say hats off to Susan Collins from Maine, who said, I don't care if he's the nominee. I don't care if he wins every single primary. I'm not supporting him.
Good.
And Susan Collins is who?
She's a Republican from U.S. Senator from Maine.
I thought she was an independent.
No.
Oh, she's a Republican.
That's August King from Maine.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I just want to say that the Democrats need to blame this. I think this is their fault.
Yeah.
Why we are where we are.
But we're not paying. We were narrow-minded, though.
I'm sorry.
I think that we're paying attention to what we're hurting from, as opposed to what's going to happen. We cannot afford to allow, just like even with the races that's happening in the local.
Yeah.
Some people need to stop sitting back holding on to grudges and saying, I don't want this to happen. You better pay attention, because you're going to end up in a position where everybody's going to be quiet.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm very different than y'all. I don't believe in voting for the lesser of two evils. Like I don't run by those morals, so I don't vote that way.
I don't know if it's the lesser of two evils.
But that's what people say. That's the
notion. I think right. I understand the notion, but I think it's the reality of democracy. Do I want democracy?
Democratic Party to me just says racist, he supports a genocide. So
all I'm saying is, if you don't want to vote for president, that's fine. Still go vote.
Oh yeah, no, local and state.
But that's him talking. I'm saying, make a decision. Democrat or Republican, vote one way.
My focus is down here.
Yeah, but
I'll go ahead and do that.
But in Delaware it's kind of fixed. But if just in case somebody's watching us on YouTube or whatever else, we're in a very bad quandary And I'm just afraid. I don't want to take up all your time. We're in a bad quandary, that's all. So go ahead, you do you.
No. I'm loving this conversation right now because I think it's a much needed conversation when talking about this because of the importance of 2024, right? Yeah. So outside of what's happening on a federal level here in Delaware, right, we're going to have, elect the 4th African-American woman to the U.S. Senate, right? I'm speaking that into existence. I'm rocking out with LBR. We're going to elect a new congressperson.
Well, who else?
Right?
What comp she got?
Well, she has...
Who's the real competition?
She has a Republican, but they not running in
competition.
We have a Democratic primary that's going to decide who our next congressperson is going to be between a state senator, a state housing authority director, and a state treasurer, right? And then we have a governor's race, and I'm going to skip a few points to campaign finance to talk about this because y'all got me going down. We have a governor's race here, right? We talk about the president, the governor is the one who's going to decide a lot of things that happen in Delaware, how Wilmington gets money as well, to what's going into the budget and everything. So right now, last week was supposed to be the state of the state. It got delayed because Governor Carney was sick. But this sets the tone for the year. What is going to be funded, right? So as we pay attention to what's going on, one of the things I want to talk about is campaign finance, right? Okay. Who has money? So we talked about the mayor's race. In the governor's race, you have 3 people who are running. You have Colin O'Mare, Bethany Hall-Long, and Matt Meyer, right? Matt Meyer is the current county exec. Bethany's the current lieutenant governor. Colin O'Mare is the CEO of the National Wildlife Federation, the former DNRAC secretary here under Markell. Colin, he raised $874,000. He loaned himself $750,000. Oh, wow. That's a nice check to loan to yourself. Yeah. He has $870,000 cash on hand. You have Matt Meyer, who's the current county exec, who's filed the report at the end of 2022 as well, too. And this last year, he raised $675,000. He loaned himself $200,000, and he's sitting with the most of all 3 candidates at $1.7 million cash on hand. And then you have Bethany Hall-Long, who's had some scandal recently, but she's raised $828,000, loaned herself $1,455, and is sitting at $688,000 cash on hand. These are the 3 people most likely. One of these 3 people are going to be our next governor and is going to decide which direction this state goes into. And I implore everyone not to listen to other elected officials on who to vote for or what. Do your own research, understand what each one of these people are standing for, and vote for who you think will best represent you. Mm-hmm. There's other races on the ballot. There's a lieutenant governor. We've talked about that quite often. Representative Sherry Dorsey Walker's running. Senator Kyle Evans Gay's running. And Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Debbie Harrington is running. She's the board vice president or chair of DSU.
We're going to talk about each race one day because I got a lot to say about that one.
Yeah,
which one?
We are.
That one?
About, lieutenant governor. No, I know you got, we don't have, we got to talk about that one day.
I'll take out point 2. But no, let's talk about that race. I think that race is going to be a very interesting race. Mm-hmm. There's another African-American man in that race as well, too, David Lamar Williams.
He's running as a Democrat?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Who is from Dover, right? So it's a 4-way race, right? You have 3 women, 1 guy. You have 3 blacks, 1 Caucasian, right? So it's a lot of different demographics going in there. Kyle Evans Gay has raised the most money in that race. She raised $211,000. Debbie Harrington raised a little over $47,000, and then Sherry Dorsey Walker raised a little over $37,000. So that race, again, that race has more to do with who's going to sit on the board of pardons, right? They preside over the Senate. They also step in when the governor's not here. But their biggest role is who's going to preside over that, over the board of pardons, and then also who's going to have the funding from a few of these lawsuits that have recently come out that millions of dollars are going to be handed out to the community. They're the ones who are going to dictate where that money goes.
Yeah, no, I'm just like the dynamics of that race is crazy, right? So we know that State Representative Shané Sherry Dorsey Walker, she was one of the first people to announce that she was running for that race.
First.
And then we have Debbie Harrington, who then announced, right? Which was confusing to me, right? Another Black woman, same sorority.
Yeah.
In little old Delaware, decided, and they're very similar. It's not like they're drastic. Like, you know, they might have some, you know, things that aren't exactly the same, but for the most part, they're two similar women. So
Sherry Dorsey Walker, she got a lot of legislative experience.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. It's about like people don't look at that. Like, let's be honest.
Oh, really?
Let's be honest at what people are voting for. I will go to a door and knock on someone's door, tell them about all my great policies, and you know what they ask me? Are you a Democrat? Did y'all hear anything I said today? All they care is about your identities, right? They see me young, a Black woman, my identities they might not identify with or believe in, so then they don't vote for me based on that. Let's be real. Most people are not voting on experience or policy. Let's keep it 100, right? So you have to look at the identity politics in here, right? You have two Black women who are very similar in most people's eyes. Okay. Running against each other. Think about that, where the votes are going to go, how that's going to split. And you add in this Black man, I don't even know who he is. I don't even know if he's a factor, right? I don't know. You know, and then you have Kyle Gay Evans, who watched this happen. Because if Sherry Dorsey Walker ran by herself, Kyle would have never jumped in. Senator Kyle. But she played on it that there's two Black women who in everyday view of like not knowing her would think they're two similar Black women. Democrats, like you know, like very identity politics. That's what we're running on. We're not running on policy or experience. Like, stop with that. When people say like stop, because when I go and knock at these doors and talk to people, most people don't ask me about my experience. They don't ask me about any of that. They ask me they look and judge me on my identities. One guy, I talked to him and then he said that I should be home with my kids. After everything I said, that's what you're worried about, is me being a single mom? After I done told you all of the great things I want to do, people look at your identities and they either say you can run because of your identities or it can't. So let's just keep it 100. It's not about experience or political stuff.
We're going to see. We only have a couple more minutes left.
So the last thing I definitely want to touch on today, we already talked about Heron Manor, so I just want to bring up this point yet again. It has been very freezing weather out. And when it drops under 20 or the wind chill feels like under 20, individuals who experience homelessness can go to different shelters throughout the state. I want to highlight the ones here in the city of Wilmington. It's either Sam's Church, which is at 720 North Orange Street, where they can go for Code Purple. They also need volunteers and people to donate food, blankets, hats, whatever you may have. Okay. If you want to donate it, please get in touch with me, and I'll take it over, or I'll give you the number over there as well, too. The number is 302-652-8033. They also have locations. This is Friendship House. They also have locations in Newark and Middletown for Newcastle County. And again, they need volunteers. They especially need volunteers to do the overnight stay as well, too, at least 2 for each night. I've volunteered the last 2 Fridays to do the overnight shift. They definitely need people to come in and help out there as well, too. If you are also looking for updates on the where else they can go for Code Purple, you can dial 211 through the United Way of Delaware.
Okay. Well, look, this has been a good show. It's just that we've run out of time. Some of the topics are very, very important for you to know. We don't have much media here in Delaware, and I'm glad to all of you who constantly watch us every week. We try our best to give you the truth and the facts as they happen. The last thing is, you made a comment earlier about you don't believe in voting for the lesser of the two evils, but yet you go into the dance with a Kappa.
Oh, gosh.
I think that's hypocrisy, and I just will say it that way. So I pray for you, even though you don't believe in voting for the two lesser evils, but you decided to go to the dance with a Kappa.
Well, they actually paired us.
And if somebody, now she wants to, you act like some of the politicians I know, now you want to get the reasons. But let me just say to those of you who don't know what we're talking about the Dancing with the Stars, and that event is getting ready to occur. And the excitement is building. I know know, Coby, you ready to get ready for your dance too?
I am, yeah.
And I heard you have an outstanding partner that you're going to probably try to get a phone number after the dance. So we're going to see who that is. You have not revealed it yet, but you've been talking great things about how you're trying to get a number. And saying all of that, I say to you all, it's been a good show. Have a good day, everybody.
Take care, y'all.
Talk soon.